Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. The honor is all mine, and it's a pleasure to start the week meeting the Norwegian friends and also beyond. I understand there might be some of you who come from other countries or from other organizations. So very happy to be here and talk to you or talk to you. So good morning, and maybe we can start?
Yeah, we share your slides immediately. Good.
Great.
There we are. Let's hope the system will allow us to. There you are.
Perfect. So the Joint Research Center, I hope some or most of you have already heard about us. And
Next.
There. So just a bit of context. Society is complicated. Problems are wicked problems. We have environmental problems, energy is an issue, health, we had a pandemic, many problems are difficult. They touch many sectors. They demand the contribution of knowledge from different sectors. But not only that, we've seen with the pandemic the importance of science for policy making. It's maybe the first time in recent times where scientists were on TV talking to the citizens. So great importance of science, but also many people who doubt the value or the trustfulness of science. So very complex environment. I'll try to, right. So on this basis, for us, what is very important is that policy making be informed by science. And that's the mandate of the JRC. The JRC is part of the European Commission and is in a privileged position to be able to take part to policy making in the Commission, supporting colleagues in most of the other policy areas with our scientific knowledge. So I was telling you, JRC is one of the Director Generals of the Commission, of the services of the Commission. We are under Commissioner Gabriel, that you see somewhere, Maria Gabriel there on screen. But we also support the work on foresight under Sefcovic. The fact that we are in the Commission puts us in a very special position because we are a strange animal. Because at ART, we are both a research organization, and I will get into that, but we're also part of the Commission. And that involves the fact that our work program is discussed with the other services of the Commission, is approved by the Commission, is discussed with member states. So our, let's say, priorities, the priorities of our research are aligned with the priorities of Europe, with the priorities of the Commission. So it will be the green transition, the digital transition, and all that. On the other hand, our work is scientific and respecting scientific principles. But again, the fact of being in the organization offers us the possibility of working closely with our colleagues who are policymakers in the Commission to support the discussion in the interinstitutional context once the Commission presents a proposal. But also it offers the Commission, and in particular the President and our Commissioner, to have an in-house service that can answer very quickly the needs for research, for information, for support to policymaking. So let's start from our mission, and I would like to read this because for me it's very important and very telling. The JRC provides independent, evidence-based knowledge and science, supporting EU policies to positively impact society. This mission has been revised recently, and has kept the heart of what was our previous mission statement, which is the fact that we provide knowledge and science. This has evolved over time. We have been, and I will get to that, a research institution for many years, but recently more and more, we have evolved from policy. We have not abandoned, but we have moved on from only science production to science and knowledge management, because of course we are a research institute. We're one amongst many. There are a number of excellent institutions around the world. Nobody can produce all the knowledge that is needed and is out there. So what we tend to do more and more is to go out, collect, validate, transform and represent knowledge in a way that is useful and actionable by policymakers. And again, our mission is not science for science sake, which is a very noble cause, but it's not ours. We do science to support policy, to allow policymakers, first in the Commission, but not only in member states, in third countries, in local communities, to make better laws, better measures for the citizens. So really, that's our mandate, and what has been added recently in this mission statement is the impact aspect, because we want to have a real impact, to do some real good, and I will come back to this later on.
Next. We have a problem with the pointer, so you have to call next.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, okay, a few principles. So, JRC role, of course, we are independent of private, commercial, or national interests. So we are part of the Commission. We are financed by the taxpayer. What it entails is that our priorities are the Union's priorities, but that allows us to be independent. We are also policy neutral, in the sense, you're certainly familiar with the other services of the Commission who will present proposals or will draft proposals for the Commission to present. We don't do that. We do research, we do knowledge management, we present facts and data to support policy making. In the end, it's up to the Commission to adopt the proposal. So we don't have an agenda. We just present the facts. And in this role, we work for and with more than 30 policy departments in the Commission. Next, thank you. So, as I said, we want to be policy relevant, and we are. But at the same time, we are also good scientists, and I will get back to that. I talked to you already about knowledge and competence management, and I will get back to that. One approach that for us is very important, and it will manifest in our work program, and I will talk to you about this, is the One JRC approach. The fact of anticipating emerging issues, understanding complexities, and bridging silos and different competences to look at problems. And of course, all this to address the challenges of research. We've embarked in the last couple of years in a reflection and a reflection process, and many changes in our ways of working to put the JRC in a better place to face the challenges of the future. Next, thank you. Okay, let's start with a little bit of history here. We can go a bit faster. Okay, one thing important for you to know is that the JRC has sites in 5 member states. So throughout Europe, our biggest site is in Ispra in the north of Italy, but then we have Petten in the Netherlands, Geel in Belgium, Karlsruhe in Germany, and the latest, the newest site is in Seville, which is on the site of the Expo 94, I believe. And these sites have host our scientists. We have about 2,800 scientists. The biggest site is in Ispra, which is the third site of the Commission in terms of number of people. Maybe next slide, thank you. Okay, here we just have some pictures that recently we did a study on our archives. We sent somebody to dig in old archives and we found some nice pictures. The first site is Ispra, in fact, that was sold on a long-term lease for 1 lira by the Italian government to the Commission. The JRC was born at the same time as the coal and steel community as a nuclear research institution. Of course, it evolved very much from those times, but that was the starting point, and that's why our sites are kind of in the countryside, in remote areas, because the first sites were nuclear sites, were nuclear reactors, study reactors that the member states gave or put at the disposal of the Commission. The first one was Ispra, that maybe you can go on to the next 2 slides. Again, that's Petten and Karlsruhe. Again, nuclear sites. Karlsruhe is today and will remain our nuclear site. The others have been decommissioned. And so in Karlsruhe, our nuclear research is still very important, and we're building a whole new wing M to host our nuclear labs there. The others have been decommitted since then. Next slide. Okay, some facts and figures. Budget, staff, I told you 2,800, about 2,800 staff. We have over 50 large-scale research facilities, some of them unique in Europe throughout our sites. What we have is, and equally important, our online databases and models, economic, biophysical, and nuclear. Again, these databases and this modeling is used to support policymaking, to support our colleagues in the other DGs, but also most of these are online and can be used, consulted, and used by policymakers throughout Europe. Next slide. As I told you before, not only we have this mission of supporting policy, and we work very closely with the policymakers, but we do this starting from the point that we are good scientists. So we have, 8,000 peer-reviewed publications in Scopus. Our KPIs in terms of percentages of publications in the top percentage of publications are pretty good. You see them on screen. About 40–50% are in the top 10 of articles, and 5–7% of articles are among the top 1% most cited journals. This just to say that we want to be, we don't do everything. We do a lot. I mean, we work in a lot of areas, but in those areas we aim at being excellent. And that's also the reason why we want to work not in isolation, but in collaboration. And we are open to collaborating with peer scientific organizations or governments or policymakers in Europe first and foremost, but also beyond that, because this exchange of knowledge and assets is certainly one of the reasons that we stay and we remain excellent. Next slide. I mentioned to you that in this last couple of years, we've gone through a reflection process, how to revitalize, relaunch, rethink. We had a strategy 2030 we've had it for a number of years, but we thought it was worth going back and looking at it to see if it was still fit for purpose. and this was a very large discussion with the JRC, within the JRC, but also with our colleagues throughout the Commission, and also we involved in this the Board of Governors. I didn't mention this before, but the JRC has what we call a Board of Governors, which is a kind of supervisory advisory body made up of representatives, members appointed by member states as high-level personalities in the domain of science. And also in the board, we have representatives of associated countries. So this board meets regularly 3 times per year, and one of the roles is to advise the Director General of JRC on the activities, the program, the management of the institution. So we did go to them repeatedly with our ideas, and they gave their opinion, and they supported us in this process. The process was a rethink of objectives and principles and ways of working, and it delivered in the end. So very recently, we're talking about since the beginning of this year, a new organizational chart, work program, and revitalized strategy. The new organizational chart, well, I mean, those of you who know the Commission know that the Commission DGs love to reorganize and change the structure, so that's nothing so groundbreaking, but the way it was done was, for example, to reorganize, creating 2 new structures and directorates. One, for example, dedicated completely to data, the management, you know, to take care of how we collect and manage and share data and information, which is becoming a crucial asset. And this directorate will take care of, you know, will work on data both on the internal, you know, let's manage data inside the JRC, but will also take care of the more philosophical, scientific approach to data management, open data, and all that. So the organizational chart is very recent, January, and also in January we had our work program 23-24 just adopted, biannual, along aligned to Horizon Europe, and also we adopted a revised, revitalized strategy, reaffirming some of the principles on which we work. Some I already mentioned. I will come back to the main ones, but all this, of course, has been an effort and investment, because transforming and performing at the same time was a big challenge, but I think we are on a better position to go forward from here. Okay, one of the outcomes of this reflection was to restructure the work program. As I said, the work program is aligned with the priorities of the Commission, is adopted after very wide consultations, notably with the other services of the Commission who come to JRC asking us to support them with the scientific evidence for the preparation of new legislation, but also implementation of existing legislation. So all this discussion has been had based on a different structure of our work program. So, well, we went from having hundreds of individual programs to defining now 33 what we call portfolios. Portfolios are an approach that aims at putting together the people and the projects around one specific challenge. And this challenge is across priorities, across organizational structure. And these people who work together, working on different projects, but they work together and the objective is to generate new ideas, to foster the exchange of information and ideas and methods, and to relaunch the work and make sure that the science that we produce on these issues really takes into account the contribution of scientists coming from different areas and knowledges and profiles. And you see them on screen. I mean, I will not go into that. I think these are in alphabetical order, but okay, they go from cancer to education, green transition, energy. We've been working a lot on energy transition lately, zero pollution, territorial work. We really work in a very wide list of scientific areas. Okay, core strengths. Again, I go back to some of the concepts that came out of this reflection that I believe reflect our way of working. These are anticipation, integration, and impact. Next slide. Okay, I just have one slide for each principle. Sorry, I talk a lot. I'm Italian. Please stop me.
It's so interesting. So please go on.
So the anticipate, and I mentioned foresight before. So foresight, it's a strange beast. It came on very clearly on the Commission radar with this Commission when it was explicitly mentioned in the portfolio of the Commission, of a Commissioner. And we are the service that support this work. Foresight involves not having a crystal ball, that would be much easier, but at least having the will and the methods and the capacity, being trained at looking ahead, trying to see more clearly what's coming to us, to be better prepared, react to the challenges, prevent risks, and seize opportunities. That's very important. I mean, not everything is terrible and dark. It's about identifying what's coming at us to inform our policymakers, to give them the time and the opportunity to think about it, to legislate about it if needed, so that, again, we can avoid risk, but we can seize opportunities. And that's very important for the citizens, for the economy, for all kinds of reasons. And this gives, foresight materializes every year in a report, in a communication from the college, but which is supported by the JRC with a report, a scientific report that this last year now was about the green and digital future. So the green and digital transitions. And this report complements the Commission more political paper with, more scientific approach. And so our work goes on beyond this annual report to inform about trends and about potential future opportunities and risk, but also we have a role in training, informing our colleagues in the Commission to give them tools and capacity to they themselves look ahead and try to anticipate in their field of competence. So that's anticipation. Integration. You've seen with the portfolios our approach, and that's not new. I'm saying it's something new. It's not new at all, but we've seen that in our role of supporting policy, it's very important to have a multidisciplinary analysis and approach, because in real life, the problems that the politicians or the opportunities that the politicians are there in front of are not simple. I mean, it's, you can look at the use of water for agriculture, but if you don't think about the impact that this has on the environment, on industry, and all that. In real life, that won't work. So any solution, any support we give has this integration aspect very high on the agenda. An example is the new European Bauhaus. I hope you know what it is. This has been called the soul of the Green Deal, because the objective is to have an environment and a society in future that is beautiful, sustainable, and inclusive. JRC supports the Bauhaus work. This is a rather recent and new concept that we've worked on. It has involved a dialogue and thinking with society, from architects to scientists to local administrators. There are prizes, there are all kinds of supports for local communities. So it's a very interesting project and process that that we lead and on which we contribute. The last principle is impact. Again, for us, it's very important to measure and be reassured about the impact of what we do, and the analysis and all the audits that we do of our work show that we do have an impact on 50 case studies that have been evaluated by external experts. In 86% of the cases, JRC was useful, instrumental for defining, supporting the policy of the Commission. So that's pretty reassuring for us. I mentioned to you before about the importance, the growing importance of knowledge management. How we do this through the knowledge centers. So the knowledge centers are not centers. I mean, they're not physical or organizational centers at all. They are virtual entities. They're virtual entities that regroup the scientists or in our organizations with colleagues throughout the Commission, and very importantly, external scientists, organizations, universities, or relevant bodies in member states and beyond. These centers are thematic. We have from the disaster and risk management to cancer to all kinds. You can find this information. I will not go very in detail, but the main message that I want to give: these knowledge centers are supposed to be a one-stop shop for the policymaker or for the interested citizen on data and information on that theme. The information is online, they have information, they have databases. So if you're interested in one of these themes, please do go and search for them. And I'm sure there will be knowledge that is interesting for you on these themes. The other next slides, thank you. Competence centers are more or less the same thing. The difference is that they are based on analysis and modeling. So we work a lot with models in all kinds of fields. For example, we support in the economic field, we support the work of the Commission around the European semester. So all the legislation and the policies that member states present to the Commission are then analyzed by us to see what their impact on the economy would be, on the society, etc., and all that. So competence centers work with numbers, models, and analysis mostly. Thank you. Opportunities, and then I will.
You're perfect on time.
Okay.
Still 5 minutes.
Good. Opportunities, and I'll go quickly, and then we maybe can share these slides, or If you have questions, I'm very happy to come back to any one of those, so I'll go quickly. So first opportunity, the open access to research infrastructure. I talked to you about the fact that we have over 50 large-scale research infrastructure. 39 of this we have judged that have a potential of being open to external users, both in the nuclear and the non-nuclear field. That means that maybe there's a next slide. Okay, some examples of, let's go next one, I think, and there's another one. I will not go into details, but you see, okay, great, thank you. You've seen the pictures. So how does the open access work? So the open access is based on the principles that we have these labs. We need them for most of the year, but not for the whole year. So we open them to member states, associated countries, researchers, universities, academia, but also SMEs, under different schemes. And so there are two main ways of accessing relevance-driven or market-driven. So relevance-driven is more or less the way that we open to other research institutions. We have calls for the opening of one or the other research lab, and we ask other research institutions, universities, academia, blah, 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 to submit research projects. If they're interesting and aligned to our priorities, then they will come and use our labs and we'll run the experiment together. We have a market-driven type of access that is dedicated to SMEs who can, with a very small fee, come and use our labs. For example, we have ELSA, which is the biggest European lab to test structures against earthquakes, basically. So there might be SMEs who build new materials or new structures that resist to earthquakes. They will do all that with computer simulations, but maybe one day they will need to test the building in real time, and that's where we come in. So that's open access is certainly a possibility. Next, okay, training capacity building is another aspect of this opening. We have a Center for Advanced Studies, which is in fact a program more than again, we call them centers, they're not centers. It's a program of advanced studies that aim at bridging the interface between policy and science. The next slide will present some of the themes. You see very interesting and forward-looking themes. And on these themes, what we do, we recruit scientists that have a competence in this specific field. So that's another possibility to collaborate with us. Exploratory research. I told you that we don't do science for science sake, and that is true, but to keep the brain of our scientists a bit awake, we reserve 5% of our resources, time, money, to a program that is called exploratory research, which is a bottom-up process whereby our scientists propose new ideas and new projects that are scientifically interesting and that allow us and them, the scientists, to build new competences for future policy demands. So this is another area where cooperation with the external world is certainly possible. We have another project, and these are some of the projects. We have a lot, but I just wanted to mention a few. Putting science into standards. It's a project that we run in collaboration with SENS and ELEC on standards, basically. Standardization effort, the needs, assessing and recommending, adapting or creating new standards. And this project brings together researchers, industry, standardizers, policymakers. Standards is something that I always thought was very boring. It's not. actually, because standards are fundamental, not only to make sure that products are safe and working to the satisfaction, but anticipating, and that's what I mentioned standards because we do a lot of pre-normative research as well. Collaborating with third countries, with research institutions at large about thinking about future standards puts us, Europe, in the best position to know where we're going, to plan, to develop also the economy and our industry develop towards a position where we are good on the market with these, because we respect the standards that are widely accepted. And you think about, you know, things like think about the phones and the plug and all this, that's a standard, and Europe decided, and now others are following suit, internet, what have you. Okay, collaborative doctoral partnership are another possibility. Not immediate because our program is already set for the next couple of years, but we collaborate, we have strategic collaborations with higher education institutions for joint, well, for welcoming in our premises doctoral students as part of their training. U Academy, this is an online, modern online learning platform that contains a lot of learning materials, and it's open, it's dedicated to external stakeholders, businesses, policymakers. So please go and have a look to see if there's anything of your interest. And then finally, if you're interested, you know, in a job in JRC, there might be some room, not easy, but there might be some room, and you have that on screen. I will not go into that, but if there are questions, I'm happy to answer them. I think that's all. Thank you very much, and thank you.
That was perfect. I devote you a virtual applause, of course, because our audience is remotely connected. And from now on, we open the floor for question and answer. So I see that someone already started writing his question, but as of habit, we are going to allow the colleagues. I take the benefit of being the moderator of this talk to ask you maybe to start asking you some questions. So I would like to ask you about the competence centers, you know, because you said that you have organized your knowledge by basically creating virtual centers where you collate competency probably from the different JRCs to become a sort of pot of knowledge, if I understand. And in NTNU, we have done the same with a specific forum that we have called the NTNU Forum, for basically linking our internal knowledge to the positioning that some of our professors have achieved in the relevant platforms at European level, like the I don't know, the European Construction Technology Platform or the European Food Forum recently launched by the Parliament. So the question is, are these centers somehow open also to external dialogue with other center of excellence or center of competence or even single researchers? Is it possible to generate it in order to collaborate together? Do you see these mechanisms, or are just internal for internal use?
Do you want me to answer now?
Of course.
No, absolutely. They not only they might be open, they are open. Their work is based on a network of relations and exchange with external stakeholders. Stakeholders that can be scientists, but not only. For example, in the slide we had the crisis, no, I don't remember what it was called, but the disaster knowledge center or the competence center, they function, each one functions slightly differently, but the approach is always to collaborate with national, for example, with national bodies, in the case of disaster, civil protection bodies throughout Europe and beyond. So absolutely, they're open to collaborate. They do collaborate. They're open to collaboration.
And how to establish this collaboration? Whom we should contact?
Well, it's really ad hoc. I don't have, there's not, you don't write to a mailbox
Exactly.
for that. I think, and that will be my answer for any question you can ask me about how to collaborate on this, on that. I'd say that reasonably, the best thing to do is if somebody has an interest and says that is, first of all, to go online and try to understand, to learn, to see what we do, and as I said, everything is online, everything is more than open science, so everything is available. Once you see that there is some community of intent and of thinking, then you can either contact the relevant center, there will be a contact person or address or something, and you say, hi.
So you mean that the
Researcher.
competence center have a coordinator, which is
Yes.
physically based in one
Yes.
of the 5 ISPRA
Yeah,
centers?
of
Okay,
course.
so-
Or you can always contact us
and ask,
and
ask you.
then we will dispatch you to the correct person.
That's very good. I take another question, and then I would like to also open the floor, because I see that colleagues are starting writing questions. You have also these doctoral agreements in place, which are very interesting, I would like to say, of course, for universities and so on. The question is, are you also pointing out, or are you considering also a dialogue, a collaboration dialogue with the newly created European University Alliances?
Well, we are considering everything. Dialogue and exchanges is good, and we're happy to do it. The collaborative doctoral partnership are a very specific arrangement that we've made. We've made a call, universities have applied, they've been selected, because the thing is that it's not only giving young researchers the possibility of spending some time in our research institution, which is great and it's fine. It implied a whole legal discussion and agreements, and so that the time that they spend with us is recognized as part of their academic career. So it's a bit complex because every university, every country, has a different legal framework for these things. So that scheme exists in itself, but that doesn't mean that we can have collaboration more widely. And maybe talking about young researchers, something that I didn't say, our business is science for policy, and we really want to encourage through these collaborations, like the doctoral partnership, the fact that young researchers think about science for policy as a potential career option, or a career option, or something that they would like to do, because pure research is great, but impact in society is a noble objective as well. And it requires a set of competences that is not obvious, because I've seen scientists go to policymakers, to ministers, with photocopies of a 50-page article from Nature, and that doesn't work. So being a scientist able to talk to policymakers requires special skills and special capacities. So, if there is a young or not young, we really would like to see more of that. And there's a whole strand of research in JRC about evidence-informed policymaking. We issued in October last year, what was the title of that? Document de travail des services, Commission staff working paper on evidence-informed policymakers ecosystems in member states. And this is a very important strand of work. We presented the paper, we had a discussion at the council, the research council in December, and now we have a pilot project financed by DG Reform with 7 member states, whereby JRC helps assist them upon their request, because DG Reform finances reform project requested by member states. But we, together with USCD, analyze and advise them on how best to adapt their ecosystems, their structures, their ways of doing policy to listen to science advice. So science advice is very important for us, and we hope these projects help also sharing this importance with the science community.
Very good. So let's open the floor to our colleagues. I would like to start with a friend, Richard Tufts. So Richard, just briefly introduce yourself and pose your question. Open your camera and microphone. You should be allowed to do it now, I suspect. Let me see. You're still not a panelist yet. Here you are. Richard. Just unmute your microphone. Yeah.
Massimo, thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to ask a question, and thanks very much for a very interesting overview of the JRC. I just had one question on, when I looked at the 33 portfolios, I couldn't see anything on regional development and smart specialization. And of course, the JRC was really well known for leading a lot of the debate around it. And I was wondering, is it in a knowledge center or is it in one of the portfolios? Yes.
You want me to?
Yeah,
Oh.
of course.
Yeah.
The question is done.
Thank you. Well, I don't remember the list of my 33 portfolio, I have to say, but it's certainly there. Smart specialization remains, and the regional approach remains one of the competences of the JRC. We've gone beyond smart specialization. Now we are with the Regional Partnership for Innovation. It's a new concept that the JRC is defining together with the Committee of the Regions, with a very strong support from DG Regio. There will be a big conference event on this tomorrow. So if you're interested, I warmly encourage you to take part in that. I can't send you the link pink, but you're certainly welcome. The PRI, the Partnership for Regional Innovation, are a step forward because they're based on a guidebook that was drafted and is being now tested with almost 100, I think, regional communities that have volunteered, communities that are already well advanced in the normal, let's say, smart specialization implementation that aims at integrating the environmental aspect much more deeply into the approach. But it's like a smart specialization 2.0. So it's a step forward. We're very enthusiastic about that. We've started testing with regions and local communities in Europe, but we are hoping we're counting on the next step to go forward, to go to the associated countries. But, it's very exciting, very, very interesting moment. So smart specialization is not forgotten at all. On the other hand, if it doesn't appear, it's because we're going forward and beyond that.
Thank you. I think there is a related comment, so I would like to ask my colleagues to open the floor to Eric Fouché, which put a question which is related. Just 1 second, Eric, be ready to intervene. Just to stay on the topic, I excuse with the other which asked to intervene, but I think it makes sense to have also Eric online. Eric, I think you are now ready to intervene.
Yeah, yes. So, no, it was just a comment on S3. Maybe I think it was in territorial intelligence because you have this topic. But because I have the floor, then I raise the questions. among the 33, I would say, portfolio, do you have a schedule links between themselves? Because we see perfectly, in fact, for the time being, there is a problem, I would say, of common vision, common shared vision among the society. So when you speak about different topics such as green transition or economic governance, cybersecurity, do you have links between, do you have scheduled links between all these topics to, I would say, which could contribute in a way of having a common vision, you know, because you spoke a lot about the importance for the society, so maybe some difficulties for the society to project itself. So that's a question then I profit to raise you.
Do we have links? Yes, the links are natural because our objectives are aligned to the Commission. We have, so the objectives are along the lines of the green transition, the digital transition. The portfolios are going in another direction. They're much more informal, much more operational in a sense. So they are not, how can I say, they're not the place to generate the policy or the policy objective that are approved in the work program. Those are our objective and overall. The portfolios are a way of animating and giving life to this research and inspiring new ideas that can then feed into the objectives. So, okay, this is very new, huh? So what I'm saying is how we hope this will work and we trust this will work, but it's very, I mean, we're talking about 2 months of 3 months of operation. So it's still very new, but the fact of working across boundaries, we've always done that. So I don't expect it to be any problem. So I don't think that that will be a challenge for us to keep our, also because, as I said, we are part of the Commission. We will always have our president von der Leyen, who in a speech says, and I want to do this. And then she goes back to her office and picks up the phone and goes, JRC, I need help for this. And we go, yes, ma'am. And so, you know, we are pretty focused on that. And I'm not really scared that we will go all over the place.
So to make things happening, talk to Ursula and
Yeah.
everything is going to happen apparently. Thank you, Eric, for your question. I would like then to open the floor to Laurent Bonneau. Eric Fouché is from University of Lorraine, just for you to know. And I asked Laurent to introduce himself before putting the question on the floor.
Here we are. Okay. Good morning. Thank you very much for this opportunity to meet together. My question is very, very practical minded, how to come into contact or to participate to JRC programs as an independent researcher or as a consulting company with no formal links with academics. My company, Pontesua, is a research agency which connects together academics and decision makers and has experience in this interface between research and decision making, policy making. And we would be very eager to participate to the programs described in certain fields, to the programs described by Mrs. Bellan. And the question is, what would be the entry point and the conditions to do that?
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. In case of programs, like when I talked about the opening of research infrastructure, we had the case of, I personally, in my unit, managed the Science Mixed Regions program, which was implementing science for policy throughout Europe. In those cases, we always operate through calls. So open calls, we will publish a call that will say, this is the program, these are the conditions, please apply within So if you follow our websites, our Twitter feeds and all that, you will receive these calls that are published. You know, they're not every Friday at 3 o'clock, you know, whenever the program calls for a call, we will publish it. In terms of activating or entering into a more informal collaboration, then we go back to what I said. It's very difficult for me. If you write to me, I would like to collaborate with JRC. You know, I want to help you, but I don't know what to do. So it's better that you do first an analysis of what's there and where you feel you have a community of objectives, and then possibly get in touch either with that part of the JRC or even with me with a proposal, and then we can talk about it, because we have all kinds of collaboration, from the very informal. Our scientists write articles with external scientists, we have projects, we organize events, we write articles, we do, you know, all kinds of, from the very informal to having agreements, having.
So you're open also to MOU when relevant.
With great care, because we already have 200. Because one interesting thing that the JRC does that no other DG does, we can sign agreements with whoever we want, even with third countries. These are agreements that do not commit the EU, of course. They're not the big agreements. They are research agreements, collaborative agreements, usually or regularly. That's a majority with no exchange of money. So each of the parties commits with their own resources. But we have become much more careful, because an agreement requires energy, and to be very frank, resources have been cut for everybody and also for us. So as much as we are open and willing and love to collaborate, collaboration takes energy. So we have to be very cognizant, and especially me, because I come here and I say, oh, do call my colleagues and collaborate with them. And then my colleagues
We love you
throw,
forever, exactly.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Okay, I think this is also answering to the question of Julia Matskevich, which basically is the same question, how to contact JRC on first instance. And I think Emanuela already extensively covered it. And as we are running out of time, I would like, first of all, to thank our guest for this very interesting and appealing presentation that opened our view about JRC, or at least refresh our memory about the fact that JRC is an open entity that we can even open a dialogue of collaboration with. And I think this is the main message that can come out from today. Also, as NTNU, we are, for example, very engaged into the new European Bauhaus initiative, and we think is a very nice initiative that we are very keen to continue to contribute to. Given that, I would like to thank you all for your participation, and inviting you to stay in touch with the NTNU Brussels office for the next appointment with 1 hour with Europe. We are working on it, so still not to be announced, but you know, we are going to advertise it. And as you have registered for this one, you're part of our mailing list, so you're going to receive a direct invitation in your mailbox. Thank you very much, everyone, and I wish you an excellent week, as today is Monday.